My husband sent me this Joe Rogan video. I have ADHD. https youtube.com/shorts/ijabapbce3y feature equals share. My husband has been struggling with my ADHD inattentive type because I often tune him out. He sent me this video this morning with no context, and the guy's views on ADHD are just like flat out wrong. I feel like I've been around this merry-go-round a few times before. It just won't sink in with him that it's actually something I can't fix. Sometimes he sees me hyperfixate, and sometimes he sees me completely tune people out, and so he doesn't understand why I can't always hyperfixate on every conversation. I had incredible parents, and he has a great relationship with my parents. So there's just no truth to this video, and there's really no reason he would believe there's truth to this video in regards to me other than that he wants to. What else can I do to get it through to him that it's like real? Have you asked him whether he thinks that of your parents? Some people like to blindly parrot what they hear. They don't actually stop to think whether it makes sense. Look up Jessica McCabe How to ADHD. She has some amazing and extremely informative videos about ADHD. I would reference some videos of her to him. He's obviously not following the science behind this neurodivergent disorder. ADHD is fundamentally part of who you are. He has to accept this. There will always be good days and bad days, but at the end of the day you still are ND with very different brain wiring. I'm sorry this is something you are struggling with. I wish people could understand this isn't something we choose, it's literally how we operate 24/7. Has anyone else with ADHD learned how to turn hyperfocus on and off? I haven't, lol. Anyone that would use a Rogan interview as evidence of anything other than Rogan and his show being a joke is someone you should think long and hard about removing from your life. It doesn't have to be like this. God, anytime I see that old guy online, I know I'm gonna cringe so deep it'll pass on to my children. I'd say for the most part. In my experience, anyone who takes things on Joe Rogan's podcast as gospel are gonna be a tough sell on anything. They don't want to be educated. They want to be validated. Your BF hates your ADHD. He doesn't want to understand ADHD. He wants to hear a professional agree with him that it's not what you, the person with ADHD, say it is. I'd say you could be petty and just send him an article every day about ADHD with no context until it sinks in. Sit down and have a serious talk about he may actually be dumb. Or look into couples counseling to work on tools to reach a middle ground. Honestly, I wouldn't advise anyone to date someone who listens to Joe Rogan. I have ADD and attentive and also don't relate to Gabor Mate, but a lot of people do. Some of his research on addiction is interesting. It really depends on his intentions with this clip, whether that's discrediting your symptoms or trying to help by offering a different perspective that you don't happen to agree with. You should show him articles from medical journals to prove your point. If you're not familiar, try typing ADHD PubMed or ADHD NCBI into Google. I think this is the best way to iterate your point and have research and figures and stuff to back you up. If you end up doing this, I would also recommend finding articles that touch on some of the points he makes. Like, yes, ADHD can be linked to childhood experiences, but usually it isn't. Assuming this is simply an extended misconception on his part and not willful ignorance. This should help at least a little. I, 40F, was diagnosed with ADHD a couple years ago. My husband also sent me this interview just a few weeks ago. For me, it rang so true that it left me crying. I read Mate's book Scattered Minds and loved it. It made so much sense to me and was very relatable and helpful. It sounds like your partner is just trying to be helpful. Maybe it doesn't work for you or match your experience. If you don't like what mate is saying, just tell your partner, "Thank you for thinking of me and trying to be helpful, but this isn't working for me and I can't relate. Thanks but no thanks." That's it. Really. You can't expect your partner to fully understand how ADHD affects you. That would be impossible. You should, however, be appreciative that he is thinking about you and trying to help. Even if he misses the mark, at least he's trying. Anyone who sends someone a Joe Rogan podcast needs their head examined. They may have suffered a TBI or some other head trauma. Just ask him, "WTF is this video, and never send me this idiot's podcasts ever again." Quote. Edit. Gabor Mage. In the area of ADHD, is the homeopathic equivalent of an expert. I stopped at Joe Rogan. Your husband need to search for better sources of information. Well, your first mistake was dating a guy who watches and builds opinions based on Joe Rogan. Sorry. You're dating an idiot. What else can I do to get it through to him that it's like real? I think the question you should be asking yourself is why, after 12 years together, he doesn't understand. The only explanation I can think of is that he's either extraordinarily stupid, possible considering he's sending you JRE pseudo-science BS, or he just doesn't want to understand. If it feels like he is trying to help and that is his typical pattern, then he is. If it feels like he doesn't respect your diagnosis, well, you know him best, you know what that would feel like if he did it. Consider it in the context of the rest of him. Combined type here. My partner does a pretty good job of trying to understand how my brain works and communicates her needs. Sometimes I go into full isolation and sometimes I'm hyper-focused on her. But regardless, she has only ever asked for education or to explain what I am experiencing. If your partner disregards your feelings or refuses to listen to you, I'd recommend potentially leaving them for someone who values you more and actually cares about your well-being. I have been in his shoes. My GF has severe depression and anxiety. When she first got diagnosed, I used to read and share articles I found interesting related to these topics. I hope that these might help, as so many people claimed they did. My GF, on the other hand, wouldn't even read them, or if she did, she would get upset assuming these are my personal views when it wasn't the case. I realized she only takes her therapist or psychiatrist's opinions seriously, which makes sense. So after about a month, I learned not to interfere in her treatment in any way and just trust her. I believe your husband will come to the same conclusion sooner or later. What if you just, look for someone who gets it? Like, how do you get married to someone who doesn't know you well enough to understand things you can't change? Just a question. Why does it matter? If you can agree to disagree? You know it's real. I know it's real. The doctor who assessed and diagnosed you knows it's real. Let him have his flat earth belief system, as long as he agrees to disagree as well. Just because someone without a medical degree naysays your diagnosis, it doesn't detract from your reality. As a fellow ADHD person, my mother believes it's nonsense. Bully for her. Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has them, but you don't have to cram it in someone's face uninvited. Nor do you have to stick around while someone presents theirs. When my mom starts up, I get up and leave the room. You can't control what others do or say, but you have full control of sticking around. Anyone that likes Rogan is not worth being with. So I think, based on how you described him, your husband loves you and is trying to help you find a solution to your problem. Most men try and fix the problem. because that's what men are supposed to do in our society. You need to let him know that the folks on Joe Rogan aren't there because they're experts. They're there because they'll get clicks. Joe Rogan is just like any other talk show. They exist to drive ratings and make money. That's it. It's entertainment. You don't have a disease. So there isn't any cure. Your brain functions differently, and though you can learn ways to mitigate its effect on your life, it's never going to go away. You need to find ways to communicate your needs to him, and the ways in which he can help you so he feels like he's doing the best he can to help you as a partner. Make it clear that his role as your partner isn't to fix things. His role is to be the best partner for you. Tell him if he loves and values you and wants to understand you better, he should spend his time and effort into understanding exactly what ADHD really is. And stop trying to fix you because you're not broken or ill.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.